Um, the children, if you could please move to the back area, and this space, please leave it for the elders. So if any brothers who are not familiar with the area, they can sit with their children at the back, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man walah wa ba'd. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم آياته بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله مولانا العظيم. Dear respected brothers and sisters, one of the other issues that we face in this side of environment, and although it is not new for us because we are accustomed to such things in our country of origins as well, but unfortunately, so this is how we have copied others in the way of our life and have left some part of our deen and have followed others, unfortunately, which is not good. And that issue is the celebration of the new year. We are in the eve of the new year, which is arriving 2 days later. So, is it, as we last week spoke about the celebration of the Christmas and how a Muslim's response should be towards that, today, inshallah, we briefly cover the issue of New Year and its celebration, whether it is allowed in Islam in order to celebrate New Year or say congratulations on the eve of the New Year, or what is the stand of Islam regarding that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Holy Quran that the ayah recited, the surah, complete surah, that wal asr, by asr, by time, innal insana lafi khusr, human being is in loss. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati, but those who have believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have done good deeds, wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi, who advise on good deeds, doing good deeds, and forbid wa tawasaw bis sabr, and they advise on the occasion for sabr, when it comes to the time when there are some things that we do not like. That is why, so this is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to His creation that human being is in loss. And this loss is why? Because they do not follow the right way of Islam. Two brothers have parked their cars on the driveway. They need to remove their cars. So anyone who have parked their cars, one is... Yeah. So please remove your car immediately now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءُ شَرَعُوا لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذَنْ بِهِ اللَّهُ, or have they partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who have instituted for them a religion which Allah has not allowed. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another place in the Holy Quran, ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ فاتبعها ولا تتبع أهواء الذين لا يعلمون إنهم لن يغنوا عنك من الله شيئا وإن الظالمين بعضهم أولياء بعض والله ولي المتقين. And then we have put you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on a plain way of our commandment, like the one which we commanded our messengers before you, legal ways and laws of the Islamic monotheism. So follow you that Islamic monotheism and its laws, and follow not the desires of those who know not. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء قليلا ما تذكرون. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to the people in the Mecca in Arab, follow that has been sent down unto you from your Lord, the Quran and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sunnah, and follow not any awliya, protectors and helpers, who order you to associate partners with shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala besides Him, little do you remember. So these sort of issues that Muslims are facing, and Muslims not only accepting those ways of life, but they are copying those and practicing that in their daily life. It is forbidden in Islam in order to copy others, which there has no root in Islam, and it has been forbidden. And when there is similarities between those that people do and the one which there has no root in Islam. So when someone copies other way of life from other nations, they, in the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum." If anyone follows other people's way of life, which there is in Islam no way for that, they are among those people. So anyone, on the eve of the Christmas, and the eve of the New Year, or any other, these are just examples, but there are thousands of way of life that unfortunately some Muslims follow them, and they are completely against the religion of Islam. Because once we say that we are Muslim, we should follow the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had practiced it and had left it. As in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that follow that which have been revealed to you and unto other prophets before you. And also Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, taraktu fikum amrayni. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, I have only left two things for you. Ma in tabassaktum bihi ma kitabullahi wa sunnati. That if you follow those two things, you will not be betrayed, astray. And what are those? Kitabullah, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means Quran, and wa sunnati, and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So if anyone does anything that has no root and no base in Quran and sunnah, it is dalala, it is betrayed, it is straying from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the right path. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says in another hadith, Man ahdatha fi amrina ma laysa minna fa huwa radd. That anyone who creates, who innovates something which in Islam there it has no root and it has no base, this is the rejected one. So anything that has come after Islam and people have adopted that and practiced that, that is rejected in Islam. Or anything that was before Islam and Islam did not accept it and Islam rejected it, if they start to follow that, it is something that similarities to those people. Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. First, there are two things then in following others. One, it is bid'ah, which is innovation, which is created after Islam. And na'udhu billah, that when some people do that, it means that Islam is not completed and they know better than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The second thing, similarities in following others. But not everything is forbidden in Islam in order to follow others. There are something that which there is nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do with the religion, nothing to do with the way of life, but there are some wisdom behind that. Al-hikmatu dallatul mu'min, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, that the wisdom is the loss of mu'min, something mu'min has lost. And wherever he finds that, it is his accommodation, it is his property. So Islam says to us that anything that Islam has not rejected and you follow others and something in the worldly matters, it is up to you, and you have nothing to do wrong with that. But if you base this as a way of life because your deen is not complete, this is innovation and this is following others, which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has forbidden from following those. So ulama of Islam and the explanation of these ayahs and the ahadith, they say that other than two Eids and the Friday weekly Eid, there is no other Eid and celebration in Islam. Because Eid in Islam is not something that we celebrate. Eid in Islam is ibadah. And it comes after two big ibadah, two big responsibilities that we fulfill. One is fasting, Ramadan, the month of fasting, and the second, the pilgrimage. So these two big responsibilities and duties that Muslims fulfill, and then they make celebration and make shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is not merely celebration, but that is ibadah as well. So, وَلِتَكَبِّرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. Then, وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. That you glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on those days and make shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in Eid, there is shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there is glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given us those opportunities and tawfiq in order to fulfill those ibadah, those greatest ibadah. So therefore, dear brothers and sisters, saying Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, congratulations, Happy New Year is forbidden in Islam and is rejected. Why? Because ulama say that if we do this and if we say this, as I said, this is just an example. And there in some countries, there was Nowruz in Iran and Afghanistan and some part of the other world. So anything that has been before Islam, and there is clear evidence that Islam has rejected it, it is rejected in Islam. So there is no way to re-adopt that. If we do that, we are acting against Islam. As ulama say, that in the case of Nowruz and Niruz, there has been ahadith, and ulama explaining those ahadith said that man kassara fi Eid al-Nawrud tabikhan faqad dhabaha khinzira. That if anyone breaks a watermelon in the day of Nowruz, if as he has slaughtered a pig on that day. So because why? Because it is similar to do that and following those people that were before Islam. But unfortunately, today people celebrate that day, and they have half mewa and 7 kinds of fruits that they do that. This is completely rejected in Islam, dear brothers and sisters. Especially sisters, those who belong to those kind of countries, be mindful that this is not something in Islam, and it is totally rejected in Islam. Because most of these things are practiced at home by sisters. And sisters, there are 3 things. One, maybe ignorance. Second, maybe iftikhar and proud to be part of that community or to be part of that culture. And third thing, maybe similarities and following those things. If the first one is ignorance, that we did not know about this, and we come to know, we must completely reject it and stop it. But if we knowing this and do this, then it is something, there is some loss in our aqidah and creed in which we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is weakness in our iman if we do after understanding this. But unfortunately, most of the people who practice these sort of the things, they say it has nothing to do with the religion. Why? Because religion is something you just come to salah, pray, and fast, and make pilgrimage, and those 5 pillars of Islam. And outside that, whatever you do, it has nothing to do with the religion. No, dear brothers and sisters. Religion is a complete code of life for Muslims. Anything that does any relation with Islam, with your practice as Muslim, that is the religion. So your religion is not that you pray 5 times a day and you are a complete Muslim. You fast. No, everything that does have a relation
with your daily life and you are called Muslim, there is a link between you and the religion. If anything, so Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam came to Medina, and there were 2 days, Ansar, the best people on the face of the earth, Ansar, the one who sacrificed their life more than Muhajirin. Muhajirin left their country, came to Medina. But in Medina, Ansar embraced them and welcomed them and gave them their wealth, gave them their share of life in order to do nusra for deen. So these Ansar, they had 2 days to celebrate in a year, 2 days. And they were playing. And when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam noticed that and asked, what are these days? And they said that these are the days that our forefathers and our grandfathers, they used to celebrate these days, and we celebrate these days in commemoration of those people. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Inna Allah abdalakuma bihima khayran minhuma, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in exchange of these 2 days, have given you another 2 days that which are better than these 2 days. وَهُمَا عِيدُ الْفِطْرِ وَعِيدُ الْأَضْحَى, that is the Eid of Fitr and the Eid of Adha. So in Islam, there are only 2 Eids. Anything that has a kind of celebration in this, whether it is proud to be proud, or whether it has to be part of that culture, or whether it has to do something in following others, it is rejected in Islam, dear brothers and sisters. So therefore, ulama say that if we do this, it means that we are glorifying those people, accepting the way that how do they do. So if someone goes in front of the cross and stands and prays, and we say that you have done a great job, it means that we are accepting that. So the same thing applies to this, that if we say Happy New Year, that we are accepting the way how they adopt that. So therefore, Islam is a complete code of life, and it rejects anything that has to do with other people's copying them. And one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to a person, came to him, that, "Oh Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I had made a nazar, something that you take upon yourself in order to fulfill the thing that maybe happened to you or come in future. So this nazar I have fulfilled in order to sacrifice, to slaughter a camel on a place called in Medina somewhere." And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said 2 things. One, that place that you have made this nazar to be fulfilled, was that something of celebration before I came to this place? And then he said, "No, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam." And second thing that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, was there any kind of idol or the thing that people worship there? That Sahabi said, the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "No, O Rasulullah." Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, "Fulfill your obligation and nazar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." It means that if there was something before this, and that person made that on that place, it means he is accepting the way of the life before Islam. So Islam means once we say that we are Muslim, we are deleting anything that does not exist in Islam, that exists outside Islam. And we are accepting Islam as a way of life, as a way of fulfilling our duties, and to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu adkhulu fis silmi kafa. O people, O believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, that O believers, udkhulu fis silmi kafa, you enter in Islam completely. So there is no way in order to say that, oh, it has nothing to do with religion, because it is just a celebration and it is not ibadah. But following others has something to do, because that is for them ibadah, and for us our ibadah is something else. So therefore, dear brothers, these are just examples. But we have the birthdays, we have the New Years of each country differently, and we have so many other things that Islam has nothing to do with those. So anything which Islam rejects, we as Muslims must reject it. So anything that Islam accepts, our way of life, anything that Islam accepts, we have to accept that. We have no choice in order to say, oh, that has nothing to do with the religion. If there is nothing mentioned in the Quran, in the Hadith, then yes, if it is part of wisdom, yes, Islam welcomes it and welcomes you in order to adopt that. But if it is completely rejected in Islam, and Islam has rejected this, then there is no way in order to re-adopt this and to go in Jahiliyyah again. So dear brothers, dear sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to give us tawfiq to completely accept Islam and make it our way of life, and how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam implemented and practiced them in his daily life. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to show us the right way and to practice it. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear brothers, there is an announcement that 2 lectures are conducted here, inshallah, on Sundays. Sunday, the 8th January, and everyone is welcome, especially the youth sisters and brothers. And also, there is another lecture on 15th of January, inshallah, in this mosque on Sunday as well, starting from 7 o'clock till Maghrib, inshallah, until we finish, inshallah. So everyone is welcome, and also spread the word to other brothers and sisters. Jazakumullah khair.